This is Andrew from Team Jodwin. Sorry about the Dark Magician deck profile. I did not like how the deck was set up. I'm going to add more extra deck stuff and post it at a later date. I hope you enjoyed our Dino deck profile from Wayne, who got top 48 at Louisville with it. Also, I'll be posting my True Draco profile that bricked that day, but you might find more success with it. But for now, here's a fun Yang Zing deck that I play for fun for those people wanting to play a more casual deck. So without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. To start, you have 3 Jiao-2, Darkness of the Yang Zings. This card is your playmaker. He gets your plays going. What he does is by discarding 2 Yang Zing cards, you can special one Yang Zing monster with 0 attack and 1 with 0 defense from your deck to the field, which gives you synchro options from 5 to 9. Vulnerable to Ash Blossom and Veiler, but outside that, he's really good. All the Yang Zings have effects that special from the deck, depending in a mode depending on what their attack or defense value is. If their attack is 0, they summon in attack position. If their defense is 0, they summon in defense position. If they're both 0/0, they can summon any position. So that's it for Jiao-2. Mandatory 3 of, really, really good. Next, 3 Chaiwen, Light of the Yang Zing. Level 1 tuner. Its effect is when a monster you control is destroyed, you can special summon this card from the graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. I like 3 because I like to be able to see tuners when I can. It's something I could freely discard for Jiao-2 to have in the graveyard later. And this card is a lifesaver when you need it. So 3 Chaiwens. Next, Bixie, Water the Yang Zing. His unique effect, all these monsters have unique effects that when they're synchro summoned with as materials, all the little ones that aren't tuners, they give that synchro monster unique abilities. Bixie's unique ability is it makes it unaffected by trap cards, which is very powerful for things like the Mirror Forces, D-Prison, the True Draco spells and traps, and one in particular, Solemn Strike. If they don't negate the summon of the synchro monster and they decide to wait to negate the synchro monster's effect, they will not be able to, as he will have the protection at that point. Mandatory 3 of, in my opinion. Next, I play 3 Swanee, Fire the Yang Zing. This one's unique effect when it's synchro summon gives them 500 attack and defense, which makes a BL's 35, makes my Thought Ruler 32, makes Yazi 31, so many combos. And also forgot to mention, this with Beals is stupid, which I'll get to later. But yeah, you play 3 of him. He's also a 19 beater, worst case scenario. Next, I play 3 Beyond, Birth of the Yang Zing. This one's unique effect when it's sank with is it gives them a battle destruction immunity. They cannot be destroyed in battle, which is good on monsters like Armades, Herald of Pure Light. Yazi is a really good one to have it on. Clearwing. Oh, also I forgot to mention, all the non-tuners have an effect that you can quick sync during your opponent's turn using cards you control. So you can sync during your opponent's turn with this deck, which is really, really good. So the battle immunity, I played 3 of this, is kind of mandatory in my opinion. Next one is 2 Paulo, Wind of the Yang Zings. A lot of people only play 1 of this, but with the advent of Regeki, Dark Hole, Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, is, in my opinion, becoming more and more pertinent that you need 2 of this for the spell immunity. When it's sank with, it makes that monster unaffected by the effects of spell cards. So making it really, really powerful. Now, I wouldn't play 3 because its stats make it kind of cloggy. But with all the board wipes, I think 2 of these are necessary. Sorry, I kind of stuttered there. So, 2 Paulos. And last but not least, for the monsters, the 3 you don't want to draw into. First, you do not want to draw into Taotai, Shadow of the Yang Zing. What this card does is its unique effect is when it's sank with, it cannot be, control that card cannot switch, or possession cannot switch. So it cannot be 101'd, mind controlled, big-eyed. That doesn't come up very often, but it's a level 5, it's a dark non-tuner, and that's its most important role, so it's a 1 of necessary. And the other card you do not want to draw into is Zephyr Secret of the Yang Zing. When this card on the field is in the monster zone is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can search 1 Yang Zing spell or trap from your deck to your hand. It also searches Zephyr cards, and when it's Pendulum Summon, it gets a search, but those are irrelevant in this build. But this card is also bricky when you draw into it. These 3 cards you never want to draw into, but their effects are worth playing because he searches out Path, he searches out your Counter Trap, your Creation, which I'll get to later in the video. So yeah, 2, and that will be it for the monsters. For the spells, I play 3 Yang Zing Path. As I mentioned earlier in the video, the Yang Zings all have unique effects that special from the deck when they're destroyed. So you're constantly thinning your deck, and you need to keep putting Yang Zings back in the deck, which this card allows you to do. So mandatory 3 of, plus the fact it's searchable doesn't hurt either. For my back row destruction, I play 3 MSTs. Yes, I know, it's not Twin Twister, it's not Cyclone, it's not Galaxy Cyclone, whatever you want to call it, Cosmic. But there aren't a lot of floodgates that really hurt this deck, and a lot of back row didn't hurt this deck. The only back row that really hurts this deck, in my opinion, would be the Solemn Brigade, and maybe floodgates that prevent them from special summoning from the deck, or special summoning in general. But for the most part, a lot of their effects they're not hit by the popular cards like Skill Drain, Monarch's Erupt, things like that due to Bixies. So I think 3 of these is just fine for spell and trap removal because there's not really much you need to get rid of. Regeki, board wipe, don't really need to say much about that. 1 Dark Hole, board wipe that pluses you, because if you have Yang Zings, when you play this, they will destroy and get their card effects and special. So, really, really good. And probably the most broken spell in this entire deck, well, actually, probably the most broken spell and trap in this entire deck is Soul Charge. Soul Charge allows me to be able to special as many monsters from the graveyard as possible, so I can summon a multitude of Yang Zing monsters and be able to control what effects they have, which is extremely powerful. Another thing that I do is that sometimes over time, I've done it before, is where they'll destroy synchros, and over time, I'll just be able to bring a whole bunch of synchros back, like Beelzes and Crystal Wings, and then they can't deal with that either. 1 Monster Reborn, just for more resurrection. On to the traps, I play 3 Yang Zing Creation. What this card does is, while this card's face up on the field, when a monster you control would be destroyed by my card effect, you can special summon 1 Yang Zing from your deck. That stacks on top of your normal Yang Zing. So let's say they destroy Chaiwen in battle. You'll get the Chaiwen effect and then this effect. But be warned, while this is on the field, you can only perform Synchro Summons. So no linking into Needle Fire when we get it, no Decode Talker, no Rank 4s, etc. But this is searchable, so I think it's a mandatory 3 of. Next, I have 3 9 Pillars of the Yang Zing. Probably the 3rd most broken archetype support counter trap ever created, right behind Satellar Nova, Alpha, and Infernity Barrier. What this card does is, if you control another face-up Yang Zing card, you can negate the activation of an opponent's monster, spell, or trap and shuffle it back into the deck. And then if you do, you destroy 1 card you control. So, for example, they go to activate Mirror Force. You chain this, negate Mirror Force, shuffle back to deck, and then pop a Yang Zing card and get a special. And then if you have things like Creation on the field, you'll get even more special. So, this card probably single-handedly is what got Denglong first of the Yang Zing banned in the TCG. I do not play it. I free play it in my build because me and my group decide that we for free play, we don't think the ban list is necessarily needed. But for the purpose of this video, I follow the ban list perfectly. If you and your friends agree to Denglong or other ban cards, that is all up to you. But this is a tournament legal deck. Next, boosted by the Forbidden Limited list, we have 3 Torrential Tributes. I think that this was one of the biggest boons to Yang Zings. When I first saw on the list that Dark Hole was limited, I thought, oh crap, and I saw this was at 3. This destroys the whole field while you're getting pluses, which your opponent's not going to like because they're going to lose their board while you're making pluses. So yeah, 3 Torrential Tributes. Really, really good. 3 Oasis of Dragon Souls. More revival, bring back Synchros. Also bring back Yang Zings to sync. Pretty self-explanatory, and unlike Call the Haunted, this does not get stuck on the field if you Synchro Summon, which is the biggest plus. And my 1 tech card is Jar of Avarice to recycle things like Regeki, Yang Zing Path, Yang Zing Creation, the counter trap, etc. back to the deck. This deck is at 43, but this is a fun deck. You can edit the staples out and stuff like that to your card's content. So let's get on to the extra deck. Now, for my only level 4 Synchro, I play 1 Herald. I'll explain a combo with this at the end of the video. What Herald does is, while it's on the field, any card that we sent from the hand or main deck to the graveyard is banished instead. Also, when a monster, spell, or trap effect activates, you can send this card to the graveyard to negate the activation, or tribute this card to negate the activation of that card if you do destroy it. This with Beyond is really good because you set this in your extra deck zone, and the only way they're going to kill it was a card effect, so you can negate it at will. So that's really, really good. Next, we have 1 Armades, Keeper of Boundaries. This is a really good card comboed with Suani or Beyond because a 2300 Ancient Gear Golem that can't be destroyed by battle, or a 2800 Ancient Gear Golem is really, really powerful, because when you attack with this, you're not allowed to activate cards till the end of the damage step. So really, really good, level 5. Next, for my level 6, I play 1 Bryonic Dragon of the Ice Barrier. I'm not going to explain the errata on the video because it's too long, so look up the errata. Do not take the effect of this card, because this is a pre-errata print. What I do is I use it to discard and set up soul charge plays while getting rid of my opponent's face or my back row, or opponent's back row and monsters. So yeah. Next, I play 2 Yazi, Evil the Yang Zing. This card cannot be targeted by card effects, which combo with things like Bayon and Bixie and Suwani. Basically, all the synchros make this really stupid. Once per turn, I could target 1 Yang Zing card I control, 1 you control, and destroy them. Also, when he is destroyed, I can special summon 1 worm-type monster from my deck. So really, really good. Mandatory 2 of. 1 Clearwing Synchro Dragon. This backed by a Bayon and a Bixie is extremely stupid, because this card is already powerful enough as it is, but combo with battle immunity and trap immunity, I think this is a really good synchro monster in this deck, and it needs to be at 1 in here. Next, we have 2 Boxia Brightness of the Yang Zing, sorry. What Boxia does is when it's synchro summoned, for each synchro material used with a different attribute in synchro summon, you bounce that many cards back to your opponent's deck and shuffle them. Also, once per turn, you can target 1 card you control and 1 level 4 or lower monster in your graveyard. Destroy the card you targeted and then special level 4 or lower monster, and I'll explain a really good combo with that here in a second. Next, I play 1 Crystal Wing. This card can win games on its own. Since you're constantly syncing from this deck, you can easily use a synchro monster to summon this. What it does is once per turn, your opponent would activate a monster effect, you negate it and destroy it. Also, if it would battle level 7 or higher, or when a monster that would battle is level 5 or higher, it would gain its attack and damage calc till the end of the turn. So really, really good, and this can win games on its own. Biel's Biel's of the Diabolic Dragons. This card, backed by a Bixie, is extremely stupid, because a trap immune Biel's is extremely hard to get rid of. Most decks already have a hard time getting rid of this, so having this in there is really good. In fact, if you want to cut some other cards from the extra deck, I could easily play 2 of this. Really, really good. Next, I have 1 Scarlight for board wipes. It also triggers your Yang Zing cards as well. It burns your opponent for life points. Burns a 500 free special summon monster, so it's there if I need it. Don't use it often, but it's there if I need it. 1 Thought Ruler, just life point gains for days. Just a little fun little tech, and I just like the fact I have an ulti, so I use an ulti. You can obviously sub this out, and I'll explain that at the end. For my 9s, 1 Trishula. When this card is synchro summoned, you can banish 1 card from your opponent's hand, field, and graveyard. This does not target, and for those people that think it's like Necross or Trishula, we have to banish all 3, no you do not. If they do not have a hand and then we have field and graveyard, you're allowed to banish up to those 2 and resolve the effect like normal. Really, really powerful level 9. Chao Feng, what this card does is for each Yang Zing attribute used in its synchro summon, your opponent cannot activate cards of those attributes. So let's say I used a Chaiwin, a Suwani, a Bixie, and 2 Bixies. Your opponent would not be able to activate the effects of monsters, activate effects of water, fire, or light. And when you have every attribute in this deck, you can use Soul Charge and other things to make sure you can lock your opponent out of the game. So, really powerful boss monster. And my last little fun tech is Beelzeus, because I can. This deck can easily summon it. Be warned, it requires 2 non-tuners, just like Trish does, so don't summon this lightly, but if you do, it can change tides. Now, a quick combo I'm going to explain to you will be the Herald of Arclight Boxia combo. Now what you do is you sync or summon this, and then tribute it off, send it to the graveyard. Then you sync for this. Use its effect, destroy a card, like pretend this is MST, destroy your MST, special that back. Tribute off, then again another effect. Use effect, pop, special back, in a pretty decent loop. Now, I don't have a side deck for this because it's a more casual deck, but I'm going to tell you this. The thing with the Yang Zing deck is the only syncers you need are 1 Herald, the 2 Yazis, the 2 Boxias, the 1 Clearwing, the 1 Biel's, and the 1 shelf thing. And you know what? Probably the one Trish. These 9 Synchro Monsters are required in the deck, in my opinion, to make it function and do what it does. However, as for these 6 right here, you could sub these out with any Synchro Monsters as long as the materials in this deck can summon them. Like if you want to turn that into another Beals, if you want to turn that into a Scrap Dragon, if you want to turn that into a Catastrophe, you are free to do so. This deck has a lot of potential, and especially as more links come out, I think we'll be able to expand the board and summon link monsters to allow us to have more synchros on the field. So, that's it for the Yang Zing deck profile. Like I said, later in the week, I will get to the Dark Magician deck profile refixed and put up there with an extra deck. Hopefully we'll see you at the Indianapolis Regionals on May 19th. I will be there and hope to see you guys there. Thanks for supporting Team Jodwin. I hope you will subscribe and tell your friends about us so we can get off the ground. Thank you, and you guys have a wonderful evening.